IKIM Inspirasi Inforia Islami. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You're with me, Mazlina Ismail. Alhamdulillah, we are back this week for open forums with our guest, none other but Puan Enizahura Abdul Aziz. Alhamdulillah, Puan Enizahura is a fellow at
Yes.
Center for the Study of Sharia, Law and Politics, IKIM. And inshallah, Assalamualaikum, Puan Eni.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Mas.
Thank you for joining us again this week. And actually, this is the final week for the year of 2021
Yes.
on open forum, and also actually for the season, right?
Yes, inshallah.
Okay, so inshallah, as a final episode, inshallah, we'll be sharing with our listeners this topic on unity during times of calamity. So inshallah, we would like to see, as on Muslims' perspective, how should we perceive calamities that we are currently facing, and how do we respond to it? Please.
Right. Thank you, Mazlina. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to our fellow listeners who are tuning in to Open Forum. As you have said, this is our final episode for the season and also for the year. So inshallah, we'll be talking about the topic unity during times of calamities. I think this topic, it's apt to be discussed considering the fact that we are facing this calamity, especially where there are so many people affected by the massive flood, not just in one place, not just a regular monsoon flood that has been happening in the East Coast usually every year. But this year, it's a great test, a great trial for more people all around all around Malaysia, especially in the Klang Valley and so on. So back to your question, Yamaz, how should we perceive calamities and how do we respond? So as Muslims, we know that when we're talking about disaster, when we're talking about calamities, actually, we must view it as a test from Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. It is a form of musibah. It is a form of test, to our belief in Allah and to our conviction, towards what He has actually put upon us as Muslims and also as human beings. So we need to understand that calamities or disasters can happen to anyone and at any time. All right. It's not just about this flood. It's also about anything that can happen throughout our life. It can be in the form of, losing someone that we love. Even the COVID-19 pandemic can be considered as a calamity because it's, we're losing lots of lives, lots of people that we love, and then, people who are who actually be infected with COVID-19. So these are among the problems, among the issue that we are facing. So, but most importantly, when we're talking about calamity, as Muslims, we must not have the fatalistic attitude towards the calamities that befall us. Okay, when we're talking about fatalistic attitude, it is actually it's a belief that everything which happens to us is beyond our control, so it does not depend on our action. Rather, it's mere fate or misfortune. So we just let it, we just let it to that understanding. Furqan Aqsa, in his article about Islamic disaster from the Islamic perspective, he explains that a fatalistic attitude results in the lack of disaster preparedness. So the higher level of the stronger belief in fatalism, all right, saying that, this is just misfortune, so don't do anything, or we can't do anything, we just leave it without ikhtiar, things like that. So that is a problem, yeah. So when we have a stronger belief in fatalism, in disaster, it makes the level of preparedness and actions in disaster management lower, because we think that it's Allah's fate, and it's fate that is upon us. So Allah has fated it to be that way. So we don't do anything; we just leave it as it is. So this is where we have to understand really the concept of how Muslims should perceive calamities and disasters. Yeah. And fatalistic beliefs also cause human beings to ignore measures to reduce the risk, or to reduce to mitigate disaster risk. So the misunderstanding of tawakkul, or the belief in God principle, also causes fatalism. All right.
Mhm.
Tawakkul is often interpreted as surrendering to God without the need for effort.
Mhm.
Right. So this assumption is incorrect, because basically God's will is based upon human deeds and behavior. And a writer, Ghaffori Ashtiani, in 2009, in his article, points out that without constant struggle, and without hard work, and without belief, one cannot hope to achieve perfection and get goodwill from God. So this is when we talk about calamities, we just cannot just say, oh, this is, without having a conviction upon us that this is actually a test, that we must rise up, and we must prepare ourselves in the future how we should mitigate such a situation, how we should actually take the necessary measures to reduce the risk for such situation. Yeah. So your question is, how do we perceive and how do we respond if we
Mhm.
face such calamity?
Right.
Okay. When we are faced with calamities, in whatever form, all right, first is to instill the understanding that this is a test to our faith, right? This is actually a test from Allah towards our conviction upon, what He has given to us. And we need to be prepared with three elements. First is with ilm, or knowledge. Okay. Second is with ikhtiyar. And third is with tawakkul, all right, believe in God. So, knowledge, what is it? Knowledge, and how important is knowledge, or how significant is knowledge in this, our process of responding towards calamities? Um, Islam gives great attention to the people to have knowledge. All right, finding and applying knowledge are basic requirement for every Muslim. And in the view of Islam, humans with significant knowledge have greater advantages. For example, with the knowledge gained, someone can be helpful for others. So when we talk about we're facing calamity, people, or individuals with the right knowledge will be able to address the situation, will be able to respond correctly, will be able to respond adequately. When we, in the chaos state, the problem that we are facing. So knowledge is very important when we talk about this. Second element is, we need to look at the concept of ikhtiyar. Right? Ikhtiyar
Mm.
means trying seriously to get the best results. In the Islamic view, ikhtiyar are things ordered by God, which refers to the verse in the Quran, that la yughayyiru ma biqaumin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. So this is in Arad verse 11. That means surely Allah will not change the condition of a people before the people themselves change what is in them. So this is very important when we want to understand the concept of how we should be prepared for disaster, and if we are faced with a calamity, how should we respond. So we must have the right knowledge, we must we must take the necessary measures, the correct measures, the be ikhtiyar towards how to solve this, how to address this. And the third element is the concept of tawakkul, which is recognized as having a positive impact on the recovery of, for example, psychological trauma after a disaster. Imam Al-Ghazali explains in his kitab, Ihya Ulumuddin, that tawakkul is not a form of escapism. All right, it should not be based on the understanding that it is fate, so we should just leave it as it is. Do not do anything. Just leave it. But it must be, it's actually tawakkul is actually to surrender or to believe in Allah, and it's a condition to be upon ikhtiyar. Right? So it's not something that you just, there's a story where people say that, you just go, like the birds. This is a story in where I think in one of the Sahaba explaining about the concept of tawakkul, right? It's just, if you leave your house, just like the birds, and they'll come back with the necessary food, to sustain itself. But Imam Junaid said, in explaining this, actually, the leaving of its nest to find food is
Mhm.
actually a form
Mhm.
of ikhtiyar. And
Yeah.
then, we leave it upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to actually help or assist in giving
Provide.
sustenance. All right, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to provide. So this is the understanding that we must have. So when we face with calamity, first is to actually have this understanding, have this realization that this is indeed a test from Allah. Right, it's a form of
Mm-hmm.
musibah which comes from our belief that Allah will replace it with better things in life, inshallah. And it must also be based, and how we respond must also be based upon the element of ilm, the right response, the right knowledge how to respond. Ikhtiyar, that means what you must do to actually overcome this, and also tawakkul, or tawakkul, or believe in Allah that Allah will reward you, inshallah, the best for your ikhtiyar and for what you have done. So these are the combination, or this is a response to your first question with regard to this, Mas.
All right, thank you very much. Well, you said that we need to respond in a way positively, mentally and physically before we leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Yeah.
tawakkul. Speaking of that, what can we do to help those who are directly facing these calamities, physically or mentally in any ways that we can?
All right.
Yeah.
So we've seen in media, not just in our mainstream media, but in our social media, where people share a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stories, a lot of things that's happening on the ground with regard to this massive flood, not
Yeah.
just in Klang Valley, but also in Pahang, right? In places like Mentaka, Bentong, Raub, places like this, and even in Klang Valley, it's a shock because the scale of the flood is something which is difficult
Massive.
to
Yeah.
it's massive, and it's difficult to be accepted by, especially by those people who never thought that they will face this in their lifetime, right?
Yeah.
So what we can do to help, we as individuals, not all people are the same with regard to what we can do, okay, but we need to appreciate every single contribution
Mm-hmm.
rendered to help those who are facing these calamities, right? You have different capacities, you have different abilities,
Yeah.
but the best is actually to contribute in your own capacity, how you can, the best that you can do it. If you
Yeah.
have the strength, if you have the kudrat, maybe you want to physically help directly those in need, like volunteering to clean houses of the victims, to clear the rubbish, to
Mm-hmm.
distribute aid, by such as for example food, clothes, medicine, cooking, things like that. And those who are able to counsel, or those who are able to listen, you should lend your ears, you try to console, you try to give motivation. The best is actually giving positive messages. You do not have to be a trained counselor to be able to contribute in your capacity. I mean, the trained counselors, they're doing their best, they're doing it's their profession. But you as common individual, you want, for example, you want to help, you can just listen, you can just try give positive messages, spread positive messages. Children, traumatic, I mean, I've read in many social media posts about how children are very affected by this flood. So we need to help with the right approach. So if you are, you are experts in children, education, maybe you have the right approach to how to assist children. So their experience and how they deal with it is not the same as adults. So maybe if you have the right knowledge, you can contribute. And you've got definitely the frontliners, the medical personnel, such as the medical personnel, the armies, the police, and the firemen. Every single one of them, and who are there on the ground, are helping and assisting in their own capacities. And then you've got the NGOs giving various assistance, for example, food, money, clothes, transportation, things like that. And then you've got also individuals who are able to give money to as individuals, what you need is to become more empathetic towards the victims, right? And then you've got the religious bodies who also contribute with regard to how they can actually help people who are facing the calamity, Mas. So the most important message here is actually to contribute in your own capacity. And when there are people who do not go to the ground, you do not say that they're not contributing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are
Yeah.
in their own capacity. You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So do not. I think this morning,
Mm-hmm.
Ustaz talks about don't finger point people
Yeah.
as if they're not doing anything. People are
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of things, and the most importantly is to pray to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala that we can overcome this. So this is a message that we need to send, to victims and also to people who are helping those victims.
Yeah, so do whatever good you can to contribute to ease the burden of those who are affected. And the
Yeah,
least is to, send prayers, make dua, say good things at least. Yeah.
inshallah, inshallah.
All right. Now, we would also want to know, behind all these horrendous events, how
Mhm.
should we Malaysians come together during these difficult times? Puan
All
Annie?
right. Okay. When we're talking about unity in times of during times of calamities, yeah, we need to first look at what factors actually divide us as society, right?
Mm,
We know that academically, when we talk about differences in society, society can actually be divided on various factors. Okay, among
mm,
the common ones, racial differences, ethnicity, culture, social class, and also religion. Cultural divide, for instance, is understood as a boundary in society that separates communities whose social economic structures, conventions, styles are so different that they have substantially different state of minds, different perceptions on issues, and also on aspects of life. So these divides, okay, are further strained by internal and external factors such as stereotyping, prejudice, ideological differences, media reports, and social pressures. So,
mhm.
but interestingly, during the flood disaster, during the period that we are facing right now, we see people overcoming such differences. Okay, this is what we see in the media, what is reported, shared in the social media. Right, we see various good stories of how people of different races and different religions come together to help. Okay,
Yeah.
we've got, for example, the mosque, the gurdwaras, okay, the places of worship, offering food and shelters, and people regardless of race and religious beliefs, saving people from homes affected by the flood. And
Yeah.
then we also see religious associations helping with distribution of food, collecting funds, collecting clothes, personal hygiene, setting up or collecting personal hygiene kits, cleaning of houses and places of worship as well. So, as Malaysians, this is actually a good sign of unity and togetherness. Right? We hear that people are talking about divisive elements in society before this, right? We do hear it or we do read about it, but during this period of flood and also during the pandemic times especially, we should not let this feeling and right acts of unity and togetherness to be seasonal. It
Right.
should not be seasonal. Unity should not be seasonal, right?
Right.
Togetherness as Malaysians should not be seasonal. Um, we must actually not let calamities to be the factors that force us to be united, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about flood. We just do not wait until a flood or any disaster to come, then we unite. It must be something sustainable. It must be a character of this nation and of the country. Unity must be the character of this nation and the country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we should not let any other elements, be it groups or individuals, to leverage on differences among us. Instead, we need to send a strong message that we are united even if we do not face any form of disaster. Our love for the country and its people on the basis of humanity must override the differences that exist among us. Okay, we call ourselves Malaysians. We call ourselves, individuals who really love the country. We're being patriotic about this. And we celebrate, the Merdeka Day, the Malaysian Day together, and then, even the festive seasons, everyone celebrate together. So we must let that be the character of this nation,
Yeah.
right? Um, unity is priceless to this country. We've seen pages of history where disunity, prejudice, and intolerance caused the society to fall into chaos and conflicts. Not just
Mm-hmm.
in Malaysia, but we also see it in other countries as well. So we see
Right.
how this is happening in other countries as well. So we can also see the cause of these kinds of social conflicts to other countries. So the scars left by such conflicts would take a long time to heal. This
Right.
is what we learn from history. And then, therefore, we must understand that the responsibilities to enhance and to preserve unity fall upon the shoulders of every single Malaysian. You and I, we both try our best to send this message, okay, through our media. And definitely, as individuals, we should be able to talk or to actually spread, positive messages. Try to talk about along the positive impact of how unity is actually beneficial to the country, how it benefits people, how it actually propel growth, because through unity, it actually helps the country to grow better economically, to develop better in every elements, in every areas. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about unity, it is not a matter of choice, but it's actually a needed requirement to all people who love Malaysia and would like to see sustainable peace and harmony in this country.
Right.
So when we see or when we read about stories, good stories,
Mm-hmm.
about how people are helping other people, do not be judgmental. All
Right.
right. Do not judge, their intention,
Mm-hmm.
because who are we to judge people? Okay, so we must start by saying that this is a good thing, this is something, a good message, so spread around the good message. So this
Mm-hmm.
is what we can do, even we are not there to help, but we are trying our best to actually share this good message to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about unity, it is a fundamental ingredient that is needed for a pluralistic nation like Malaysia. And peace, stability can only continue to grow in this country when both government and the people show serious commitment to this endeavor. It's not just about the people coming together. Yes, what
Right.
we're seeing during this time is actually people coming together on their own. This is a remarkable story. It's being shared worldwide, actually, about how Malaysians coming together to help the victims of the massive flood. But the government must also show that conviction, that political will. There's a political will within the government to actually help this as well. All right. So definitely, the government, through their agencies, are trying their best to help. And we as individuals, we also can do better in terms of how we can actually assist victims. So we have to understand that this differences, or this actually diversity of our country's ethnic and cultural identity is a positive feature. People look at Malaysia as a model of plurality when we come to when we talk about diversity. Okay,
Right.
so it's actually a positive feature. It's unique, and it must be well managed with wisdom, with wholeheartedness, and with sincerity. It is most important for us to understand that the element of sincerity, of helping others, of coming together to unite, it must not just be because we want to, take
Mm-hmm.
a content for our TikTok or for our social media posts. But most importantly, is it comes from the sincerity element of our heart, and we must do it, wholeheartedly, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yes, there's a lot for us to learn from this recent event, these trying times. And the most importantly is that we see how beautiful it is when we come together, put aside our differences, help
Yes.
each other, being a caring society, loving society, maybe the
Yeah.
true spirit of being Malaysians, yeah, towards each
Yeah.
other. And something like you said must actually be maintained at
Yeah.
all times, not just a seasonal thing, yeah, right? So,
Yeah.
inshallah, something that we should really appreciate because probably disunity itself is a calamity. But you said,
Yes, definitely. You say it right, Mas.
right. So, inshallah, we hope that we all can actually ponder upon these events and also learn so much from it. It takes a positive mindset, eyes, and hearts to see good in other people. and
Yeah.
also, say good things, especially if we see how people respond to comments. And we have spoken about this. You should
Yeah.
start, we all should start saying positive things towards each other, and you see the positive things will come back to us, and hopefully situation will get better. What about you? What
Yes.
is your last word, or how would you like to conclude about this probably this episode, and also probably the whole season, or episode? Yes, inshallah.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Maz. You've said it right. We do not want people to actually become too complacent with regard to unity. But it must not be seasonal. And as you have said, this unity is a calamity in itself. And if we say that we are a society, we've been carrying out this slogan as being a caring society, and then we love one another, we are patriotic, we love the nation. We must reflect that in our actions towards our neighbors, towards people who are immediate to us, and then towards the country in general. So first, as a conclusion, I would say that unity should be an agenda which is above politics.
Right.
Okay, that is most important. Do not wait until there's a policy to emphasize on unity. Only then we want to be united. But it must be an agenda for everyone. Yeah. The
Right.
calamity that we are currently facing as a community shows that common Malaysians are able to bring our own narratives and share our own stories that promote mutual understanding and respect. Okay, the cultural and ethnic diversities are actually our pillars of strength as a nation, and that can become a sense of pride to all Malaysians. So it's time for all, leaders included, all right, to shift the focus of the nation to agendas of nation building. And we need to learn to set aside our egos, our differences for unity to actually work. Okay,
Right.
so this is the message that we are sending. So, but we cannot deny that unity for a country like Malaysia is a continuous pursuit. So it's not seasonal. It must not just be based on because we're coming together at this point of time, and after that we just live in our own segregated, or compartments. Okay, but we must understand that it should be the noble mission of every individual Malaysian. It
Right.
must not be left solely in the hands of the government or leaders. All right, and as
Yeah.
rakyat, we need to keep on spreading words of peace and harmony, and conduct ourselves in a manner where respect, where tolerance, where mutual understanding, where peaceful coexistence are reflected in our actions. Okay, we
Mm-hmm.
have nothing to lose if we do this, and
Mm-hmm.
everything to lose if we let these elements of diversive elements actually to shape how we should relate to one another. Okay,
Right.
it is high time for the rakyat to actually lead the agenda of unity for Malaysia, and then
Right.
hopefully with
Mm-hmm.
how things are coming together with regard to we helping people who are
Yeah.
facing this calamity as a country, as a nation. It'll be a good vibe to move forward and carry this along the way, inshallah, for Malaysia.
Inshallah. I think you have said it all and concluded it well for Open Forum this season. And inshallah, everyone, will go back to better. Actually, not go back. We should pray that we will all come out better from,
Yes.
all these calamities. And inshallah, we pray all the best and keep helping. Keep living
Mm.
in a loving, caring society, and we pray for the best for Malaysia. Inshallah,
Inshallah.
next year, 2022, will be a better year. We hope, inshallah. Yeah.
Inshallah,
So
Mas.
thank you very much, Puan Enizahura. Until we see you again next year, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And
Thank you, Mas.
assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.